Welcome to Indieformer. I'm Josh, and today we're going through some news, crowdfunding projects, some people within the industry, and finally, games. So without further delay, let's get into your Indie Snapshot for April 2019. PAX East happened at the end of last month, and there were quite a few indie games being shown off. One Finger Death Punch 2 was shown just before it released, which we'll go into more detail later. Bite the Bullet, an RPG shooter roguelite where you need to eat to power up your abilities. Quantum League, a time-bending multiplayer first-person shooter. The Texasist, a mixture of a bullet hell and typing game which is available now. Those were just a few, but one thing to note was the unveiling of Cyber Shadow, the new game coming from renowned studio Yacht Club Games. If you didn't know, they made Shovel Knight. It should be mentioned that these guys aren't developing the game, but in fact publishing it. They contacted the developer a few years ago and offered their assistance. And well, here we are. In other news, Ludum Dare 44 is on right now. It's happening between April 26th and the 29th. And the theme is Your Life is Currency. So get ready to see some of those gems next month. Indie game studio 11-Bit Studios have seen a successful few years with their hit Frostpunk hitting 1.4 million copies sold. The development costs were recovered within 66 hours of Frostpunk going on sale. Now that's nice. Another game they had a part in, Moonlighter, also deserves some attention because they celebrated selling over 500,000 copies. This is a studio to keep your eye on. And lastly, I can't make this video without mentioning Risk of Rain 2. It released in early access and it's been an absolute blast. I've already put plenty of hours into it and the game deserves plenty more. If you haven't picked this up, get it now. It's an instant classic. I'll be looking at it again when it fully releases. Let's move on to our crowdfunding section. Descend is an RPG inspired by the classic console greats, featuring precarious dungeon excavations, a unique look at puzzle platforming, tons of secrets, lovable characters, and a thrilling story where your choices matter. The art looks beautiful and it's got the music to fit. This looks like it's going to win some hearts. Retro Rockets is a knuckle-busting game full of suspense and excitement. A group of 3 retronauts is tasked with rebooting space stations whilst being hunted down by Destructo, a deadly machine. Destructo's ultimate goal is to destroy the entire space station. A multiplayer experience, but they've also just added single player to the demo, so check it out before you pledge.
Внимание, внимание! Уважаемые товарищи! Городской совет народных депутатов сообщает, что в связи с аварией на Чернобыльской атомной электростанции в городе Припяти складывается неблагоприятная радиационная обстановка.
Chernobyl is a science fiction survival horror single-player experience mixing free exploration of its disturbing world with challenging combat, unique crafting, and non-linear storytelling. As a player, you'll have to survive and reveal the twisted secrets of Chernobyl in the 3D scanned recreation of the real exclusion zone. Moving on to Indiegogo, and we have Morbus Morbus. It doesn't have a trailer, but the gift that was linked along with the art piqued my interest. A 2D dark fantasy platformer with a linear story and non-linear level design. Playing as a plague doctor, there will be blood and brutality. Every enemy is a challenge. Each level has an option to choose between fighting your way out or exploring these locations and solving a variety of quests. It's a bit of a risk, but I wanted to bring it to light, in case some of you are risk inclined. Alright, there are your crowdfunding projects for this month. Now it's time to take a look at some of those within the industry. Unfortunately this month I had no applications for people to feature, so instead of finding people who may or may not want their stuff shown in this video, I've reached out to other people making similar content to mine. This month I've teamed up with Jump-Roll, a UK-based gaming site covering news, reviews and regular features, now including Indieformer videos. Take 5 presents a mixture of serious and tongue-in-cheek conclusions every Friday, whilst their brutal backlogs revisit older games with the expectations of today's market and see if they are still worth playing. Jump-Roll is a big supporter of the indie community and review a number of titles from small studios each month. This month they took a look at indie studio GameChuck and the history of their titles. They create point-and-click interactive comics. Their aim is to create games in which the mechanics are intertwined with the story, visuals, sound, whilst also pushing the boundaries of existing game genres. In light of our teaming up, I'll be featuring a Jump-Roll article in this section each month, most likely indie related. The next person I teamed up with is Clement from Clemmy Games, and his burning passion for indie games is like no other. We'll be hearing from him in our next section. Clemmy uploads daily and is a monster of knowledge when it comes to indie games. His content covers new releases, upcoming games, live streams and a whole heap more. If you're into indie games, Clemmy does pretty much everything you need. Remember guys, I still want to feature people looking for work, so if you know of someone, or you yourself, send an email to indieformer1@gmail.com. It's also in the description. Now it's time to show you what you need to play this month. I feel as though I need to mention these games as honourable mentions because they're well known. Tales of the Neon Sea and Dark Devotion released this month, both good games, but I think there were better releases as you're about to see.
Hello Indieformer fans! My pick of the month has to be Forager by Hopfrog, which is a resource gathering, exploration, crafting, farming and action game inspired by Stardew Valley, Terraria and The Legend of Zelda. The constant leveling up and unlocking of new islands and features made for a very compelling experience, so much so that I had to power through and 100% this game since it was taking over my life and I had to get it out of my system. Sounds bad, but this is actually a glowing recommendation. Once again, a huge thank you to Josh for the collaboration, and do let us know what you think in the comments below.
As mentioned earlier in the video, One Finger Death Punch 2 released this month and at a healthy $11.50 AUD. At first glance, the animations look a little raw and the art a little dated. But once you get into this, there is no going back. Your fingers are going wild and you have no idea where to look. And sometimes you just button mash. But don't do that.
You button mashing fool!
There is so much going on in this game that you could spend your entire life mastering it and you'll still be confused. You feel like a ninja playing it, and you look like one from a spectator view too. And remember, don't button mash. Releasing on the 27th of April, File Maniac is like no other. I may be unaware of such a game, but File Maniac has you move, delete and copy files in your Explorer in order to get through the game. This is most definitely a puzzle game, but won't take you too long to get through. The art and animations are simple and effective. It's also nice to feature something that isn't on Steam, you know? Go over to itch.io to pick this up and give it a go. There are games today that have maps as big as 130 kilometers squared, but Superland takes it back to just 9 meters squared. A literal sandbox. Primarily a lateral thinking puzzle game, Superland adds a few extra ingredients to the pot. Combat, secrets and abilities, plus every nook and cranny has something for you to find. If you're on the fence, play the demo. It gives you more than enough time to think it through and get a feel for the game. It really is a gem. From the mind of one programmer, we have Katana Zero. Time travel, slow motion, and as the name does not suggest, plenty of katana. A neo-noir action platformer with instant death combat. It ties together some of the best mechanics from other titles such as Hotline Miami and makes them its own and freshens up the genre. It may be a little short, but it's worth every cent. I could tell you about Islanders, but I think the developer will do a better job than I.
At its core, it's a minimalist strategy game about building cities on beautiful islands. Building something in Islanders doesn't cost any resources. Instead, you have an inventory with a limited amount of buildings in it. When you build something, you earn points depending on what surrounds it. For example, this lumberjack gets points for every tree and sawmill within its radius. Once you've earned enough points, you unlock new building options and your inventory gets refilled. In the beginning this is really simple, but as your cities grow bigger, this mechanic offers a lot of room for different optimizations and strategies.
And for the price, well, you
Reach
decide.
a certain amount of points, the new island button in the right-hand corner.
Survival horror, multiple endings, and semi-believable characters. Yuppie Psycho has some killer pixel art and replayability. If you're looking for something weird and a bit out there, then this is for you. You play as Brian on his first day on the job at one of the world's largest companies, Sintracorp. There is gore, violence, suicide and murder present in this game, so if that's something you don't want, well, yeah. And there are some indie games released this month that you should check out. I'm thinking of splitting this video in two. YouTube's algorithm doesn't exactly favour my once a month content, so I've got to play the game. Would you watch 2 videos a month? One with news and industry and the other with crowdfunding and games? What combination would you choose? Maybe it's news and games. Let me know your thoughts below. If you'd like to support Indieformer, the best way to do that is via Patreon, which is linked below. It helps me spend money on games to play and recommend for the channel. Also, go ahead and join the Indieformer Discord server. I post links to games that don't make it into these episodes. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time here on Indieformer.